to show in. Okay, so there's two rectangles. The rectangle frame tool, okay, is like a placeholder. It's like a rectangle with a cross through it to say, in the future, images might go here. You're totally allowed to use those boxes. I never do. I just use the regular old rectangle, okay, which is underneath. Now, if you can't see the rectangle, you might be on ellipse. So you click, hold with your mouse key down, and then click on the rectangle tool. And draw out a rectangle, and yours is probably not going to look like mine. What ends up happening is it actually fills with whatever the last color you were using. So yours might have no fill, no color. Yours might have a line around the outside, but no center. Let's fix that. And at the same time, look at some of the colors. So I've drawn my rectangle. It's still selected. It's got little dots in the corner. As yours is not selected, grab this tool. Okay, it's the top black arrow. It's called the selection tool. Just click on it once. And over here in your appearance panel, you can see the fill and the stroke. The stroke is the line around the outside. So let's first of all go to the fill and click on the little square here. Yours might have a red line through it, might be a different color. Okay, just click on, in my case, it's black. Okay, and over here, I'm gonna click on this first option that says swatches. What is a swatch? They're just pre-mixed colors that InDesign decided these are the ones that you should be using, or at least the starting ones. And let's have a play. Okay, so let's first of all make the center of it green or red or yellow or magenta or whatever color you want to. Let's make it yellow, whatever you want to. Do what I say, make it yellow. Okay, and then with the stroke, now this thing here is kind of hovering out. To get rid of it, just kind of click in this no man's land up here, just click once. And this disappears back into its little house. Okay, let's click on the same little icon here, okay, with a stroke, and let's pick a color. And let's pick black, okay, because I want to show it as contrast. Over here next to stroke, see this little arrow here? You can use the drop down, okay, and you can pick a bigger size, or you can just use this little up arrow or down arrow. They're tiny. Okay, but I guess I wanted to show you the difference between fill and stroke. Fill is the center part and stroke is the outside. So let's have a look at the different pre-made swatches you've got. Okay, so let's click on fill. Okay, I'm clicking on the little yellow little spot here, and I'm on my swatches. And down the bottom here, you'll see these are the pre-mixed colors. Those are, I don't need to really talk about those other than they're hideous. Okay, some pre-mixed colors. There's this one, black and registration, and they look exactly the same. I'm not going to cover registration too much now. It's a go and Google it type of thing, but never use it. Okay, it's a printers only thing. It's rich blacks. It gets quite, not complicated, but it's a whole nother video that will be super boring at this kind of level. Okay, we'll just use black. Don't use registration. The other weird thing is paper. Okay, although that's white, it's not empty. None means it's got nothing in the middle. Okay, watch this, I'll show you. I'll move it across to the edge, grab the edge of it. Okay, so grab the actual black edge of it to move it out. You can see that has a fill of none. But if I make it white, it's different. Okay, and when I say white, I mean paper. InDesign tries to be clever, and basically we all know if I put blue paper into my printer right next to me here and hit print, I'm not going to get any white. Okay, it's going to show through the blue paper. So that's the reason I call it paper and not white. Okay, so ugly colors, black and none. Paper, never use registration. Now, let's say that we don't like these colors. Okay, we want to mix our own. We want to go super creative and we're going to mix our own color. You can use this option here. So we're on swatches, click on color, and down the bottom here, it's going to have this ugly slider. What we're going to do in this top little slidey thing, okay, the burger menu, okay, let's click on RGB. Okay, it changes to my red, green, and blue mixer, and we can just click it anywhere down in here. Okay, and pick our own custom color. Now, if yours is not changing, just make sure with your black arrow, you've got this guy selected, not selected, selected. Go back in here, go to my little color palette, and we should be able to pick any color we like. Now, you might have seen in there, and you might have heard in the past, RGB versus CMYK. Okay, those are the two kinds of colors you're gonna use. And you can see a real big difference there between this green, okay, which is RGB green, okay, or this kind of like, I want to say snifter green, but you wouldn't have snifters in your country. It's like a spearmint kind of lolly chocolate thing. Anyway, let's say spearmint. Peppermint is some kind of minty color. Now, RGB is what your computer screen uses to mix colors, and it's a bigger color range. It has more richer colors because your little monitor right in front of you right now has like lots of light coming out of it, luminance, that helps get some really crazy colors like this kind of like nuclear, like Madonna pink and kind of toxic green color. Okay, but when it comes to your printer, we all know if I printed that at your home computer, it's going to wash out, right? It's going to look great on screen and then get all washed out. And that's just because your printer doesn't have light coming out of it like your screen. So which color should you use? CMYK? Boo. RGB? Yay. Okay, so if your document, like this document here, this brochure, it's going to have dual purpose. It's going to be something sent to the printer. They're going to print it off. It's also going to be something that gets downloaded from our website or emailed out. So we'll start with RGB, and later on when we go to export, we'll convert it all to CMYK for the printer. Boo. So it's kind of best of both worlds. If you're only going to print, there's no point getting all excited with these colors, only to know that you're going to go to CMYK. And your next question is like, well, how do I make this better? Unfortunately, you can't. CMYK goes onto paper and just washes out. You can make it darker or lighter, but you can't make it that rich, vibrant color that it was. It's not possible with the inks that come with your printer. So the rule is, if I'm mixing colors and I am going to go, say I'm printing my business card, I'm not going to trick myself using this and only be disappointed later on, okay, by using CMYK when it gets printed. But if my business card is going to be used online for something, I'm going to use RGB, and then when I export, I'm going to export two versions. One for online, which will be RGB, and at the end, I can convert everything to CMYK in one foul swoop. So that's a bit of nerdy colorness. It's probably not what you were hoping for. You just wanted to mix some colors and keep going. But I guess at this stage, we need to start using the correct colors. We're going to use RGB in this case. Let's say we like this color. Okay, we want to use it a couple of different times. Instead of trying to mix it every time, you can go to this option here to say add to swatches. Remember, swatches is this first little panel here. Okay, premix colors. So I can randomly pick a color, back to my peppermint, and let's go to here and go to add to swatches. And if I go to my swatches panel now, right down the bottom, there's my RGB color, red, green, and blue. That makes this. So later on, I can go through and I can draw something, and I can go over to here to my fill, and down the bottom on my swatches tab, right down the bottom, there's my mint green. Hello, mint green. All right. Let's say though that you're working for a company and they've already got colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that. I'll keep this guy here. And let's say that, yeah, we can't just use any old color. We've got to use our corporate colors. Now to get your corporate colors, you're going to have to either talk to your designer or the designer who originally made your brand, or hopefully maybe you might even have a brand guideline somewhere. It's probably in your third drawer down, all dusty. Have a look through there and see if you can find the colors that the designers have decided that was right for your company. For Visit NZ or Visit New Zealand, I've got some corporate colors. Okay, I've typed them out for you in your exercise files. There's one in there called colors, double click it. Okay, and there they are there. And I'm going to show you how to put them into InDesign. So I'm going to do some rejigging of my screen. I don't want you to do this because I want you to carry on. I'm going to stick it there so you can see it. I can see it. Actually, I'll stick it on the side. Make it easier for the editor to zoom in. All right, so I've got my black arrow selected. I'm in InDesign. I've got this selected. I'm going to go to fill. I want to create my own crazy color, but really, I'm going to go to the little burger menu. I'm using RGB, and I'll just type in the numbers here. So you can see whenever they're listed, they're always listed as red, green, and blue. So you can see here, there's no it's not R equals or G equals. It always assumes, same with CMYK, it always assumes the same order. Okay, so 53, 120, and 114. That is the color. I'm going to drop this down and say add to swatches. I'm going to check my little swatches panel to make sure at the bottom there, it's there. Okay, and I'm going to give it a name. I totally skipped that step. You double click it to give it a name. So we can see it says RGB numbers there. Just double click it anywhere along there. And let's go see what says name with color. Let's call this one VNZ green. And let's click OK. Makes it a little easier to work with. This little mint color we had before, I'm going to bin him. Goodbye. Nice. Okay, to bin him, you click on him and you hit the little trash can there. So I got my VNZ. Let's mix up the third color, which is the red. It's not quite red, but you'll get the idea. We'll do it one more time together and then we'll fast forward the last one. So make sure you've got this guy selected, click on fill, hit the little color icon, switch it to RGB. And in here, I'm going to go 192. I'm going to hit tab because I like tabbing through these to make it a little faster. Okay, so 192, 62, and 84. Okay, gives me I called it red. It's not red. Don't even know what to call it. It's stuck in the middle of my color naming groups. But anyway, you get the idea. Okay, we're gonna add it to our swatches. Just like before, we're gonna go to our swatches, double click it, and we're gonna say name with color value. No, thank you, VNZ. We're gonna call this one red, even though you're screaming at me going, it's not red. It's, I don't even hazard a guess. It's like a rose. Oh, I don't know what to say. Let's click OK. Okay, and I'll get you to do the last one by yourself. Okay, it's a slate color. Okay, and I'll get the editor to speed me up. All right, I'll see you in a sec. All right, you're back. So let's apply our colors. So we'll start with this guy. We've used them. I'm going to give him the color of the slate. Okay, so the fill color, make sure it's on slate. When it comes to the stroke, okay, click on the little edge here, scroll to the top, go to none, make sure you're on swatches, okay. And so it's got no line around the outside and it has got slate as the fill. Now we're gonna resize this thing. So we're gonna use the selection tool, so the black arrow, make sure it's selected. Let's grab this top left-hand corner. You'll notice that when you get close to the edge, you get this like diagonal arrows. Click on that and just drag it. Okay, I'm dragging it with my mouse. And where do I drag it to? Do I drag it to the edge of the white? No, we drag it all the way out to the bleed, okay, which is the red line. That means that there's this little chunk of the slate that's going to get sliced off by the guillotine and into the bin. You'll be like, why do you bother doing that? Why don't you just go to the edge? It's because often the guillotine is not as fancy as you think. Often there's just a person standing there with a guillotine, lining up your page, tongue out going, slice. Okay, and they need a bit of wiggle room to get it right or wrong, so they get it close enough. So you need a little bit of extra on there. So the bottom right, I'm gonna drag it down, 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 so it covers all the way to the edge of the red. If you've dragged yours, this happens, drag, and you end up kind of like, all over the place, okay? Don't worry, go to view, go back to fit, spread in window, and it should come back to normal, and just be very careful. Go try and get it down there. All right, one rectangle. Let's grab the rectangle tool. There's lots of them that look the same, even me. I clicked on that one by accident. Okay, make sure it's a test. Okay, you gotta click on this one here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw out another rectangle. And this one here is going to be, just drag it in the middle. Not too worried about it. And make sure it has a fill of, down the bottom here, VNZ green. Okay, and make sure it has no stroke. So click on stroke and go to none. Okay, I'm gonna resize this one, grab the black arrow. I'm going to drag this down roughly about a third. Okay, and we're gonna have this like two-tone. You saw it at the beginning of this video. You saw it at the beginning of the course, what we're kind of making, this kind of two-tony thing. So slate box, green box, let's do one more. Drag it out and let's give it a fill of the not red, there you go. And make sure it's got no stroke, and we're not too worried about the size yet. We're gonna use this as background for some of the text we're gonna make. So just get used to resizing it. It's gonna be us for this video, bit of a long one, but we learned what RGB versus CMYK is, and we've looked at how to apply fills and strokes quite a bit. Plus we're getting used to InDesign in general. In the next video though, we'll do some more advanced navigation. But in the next video, we'll look at some basic navigation to kind of help you move around the document a little easier. Let's jump in and check that out now. Hi everyone, this video is just some basic navigation to work our way around InDesign and our document. First one is zooming in and out. There is a magnifying glass, okay? You can click on this, it's the last one in the toolbar. Click once to zoom in. And if you hold down the Alt key on a PC or the Option key on a Mac. So look down your keyboard, you might have an Option key. If you're on a Mac, hey there, this video we're gonna put in text. Yay! We'll do some basic formatting, add some text boxes. It's all very exciting. Let's get going. All right, to get started, if you're zoomed in like I am, let's zoom completely out. You can use the long way under view, but we're gonna start using shortcuts. Remember, Command 0, not O, that's on a Mac, or Control 0. Ready? Ooh, nice. Make sure the W key is switched to, it's called normal mode. okay, where you can see all the lines and edges here. Okay, let's draw a text box. Nice and easy. Grab the type tool. Okay, it's this capital letter T here. And when you're drawing a text box, it's always better to draw on the side here and then bring in your text. If you start trying to draw straight on top of images and rectangles like this, InDesign has this clever way of trying to connect them up and becomes quite confusing. So over here on the right hand side, I'm going to click, hold down my mouse key and drag out a box. Nice big box. It's not really, don't worry too much about it. And I want you to type the word discover. Okay, and type to adjust it. Okay, we're going to highlight the text. Okay, so with the type tool, just kind of drag over it. Now with it selected, you can see over here, we've got character and paragraph, the basics at least. The top one here, Minion Pro, click this little drop-down menu, and you can go through all the fonts that are on your computer. You're not gonna have the same ones as me, so I'm going to, for the moment, stick to our Minion Pro. Okay, but have a look through. You'll notice that there's a nice little preview there. Yours might look a little different from me, but pick a font. But don't worry, we're going to change it in a second. So don't spend the next half an hour picking a font because we're going to change it. I'm going to use Arial. Let's go crazy. Okay, so that's the font. Underneath it is whether it's bold, italic, that jazz. Okay, option here, font sizes. Okay, if you increase it up, obviously it's going to go up. We're not going to cover everything in too much detail because font adjusting is not that unique to InDesign. Okay, so font size. This next one here, leading. That's an interesting one. It's the space between lines. Okay, or line spacing. They just call it leading in InDesign. You won't use kerning, but you'll use tracking. It's the space between letters. Left align, centered, right align. We'll stick it to left align at the moment. Now what I want to do is I want to change the color of this font, and it's easy when it's selected because you can kind of see my fill has changed from that kind of full cube to this capital T to describe that I'm changing the font color. I can pick, say, our V and Z red, okay, and you're like, but it's green. If I go back to my black arrow, okay, click it a couple of times, you'll see that it's actually the right color. But when it's highlighted, it inverts it. So it's kind of a bit strange. So go back to your selection tool. The reason I want to show you this is that later on, as soon as you finish this video, you're going to go and do your own stuff and you'll be like, oh great, I'm going to go and change the color of this font to, it's not changing the font color. So I'm going to go to edit, undo. What you need to do is one of two things. You need to have it selected to change. Can you see now it's gone back to the fill color, which is cool. Now it's going to work. Or if you don't want to have it selected, like highlighted like that, you can select it with your black arrow, which is cool. And just like before, if we click on this, it's not going to quite work. Okay, remember it's going to do that. Okay, I'm going to undo. What you can do before you click on a color, where it says apply to, you can say actually apply to the text, not the frame. They call that the text frame. That's the box that it's in. I'm going to say actually apply to the text, please. And I'm going to go in here and pick slate or magenta or yellow. I'm going to pick paper actually, because I want it to be over the top of this background color here. So either highlight the text to change the color, or with your selection tool, you can apply to and just change it in here to text. One of the other things I want to show you is what happens when we hit the W key, because you're like, oh, I'd love to see this font. I'm going to click off in the background so it's not selected. I'm going to hit that. What was the key, remember? To get rid of all the lines and stuff around there, you remember it's the W key. I'm going to click it, and you're like, oh, gasp horror, it's gone. Okay, it's because it's out in this pasteboard area, this area here, which is going to be thrown away in the bin so it hides it from you. So if you want to see it, you've actually just got to, it's got to be on the page somewhere. Okay, if you're half on the page, you can only half see it. Just so it'll stop a freak out later on anyway. So you can work in this preview mode. There's nothing wrong with it, okay? Just know that, yeah, you can't see stuff that you've left over here on the side. Now I'm going to put this word here, discover. I'm going to increase the font size up something nice and big. I don't even know yet because it's not going to be the font I'm going to pick. But what will happen though is if your font, if your rectangle is not big enough, look what happens when it gets to the edge. Dun, 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 dun. Ah, it's gone completely. Okay, you might have started this tutorial like this and you're like, it's been like that forever, Dan. It's because the text is just too big to fit. So you've got to do one of two things. You've got to make the box bigger. So grab my black arrow, the selection tool, and just go, here you go. There's more room for you, buddy. Okay, because if you get smaller, it doesn't fit. Okay, so you've either got to do that or draw another text box or say it's like this. What I do is I grab my type tool, click inside of there somewhere, go to select all. It's kind of a bit of wishful thinking, this one, right? So you click in there and go to select all. Where is select all? There he is there. So I've selected all the text, even though I can't see it. And I'm going to make the font size a whole lot smaller until it appears. Better still, when you're new, don't be on the W key. Okay, so I'm going to click off on the background. So I've got nothing selected. Hit W. Just delete it. Select it. Delete it. Start again. Draw a bigger box. And make sure you've got a smaller font. I'm going to undo all that because I actually had mine okay. So I'm going to go Edit, Undo, Command Z a couple of times. You'll notice Command Z doesn't work when you're in the type tool. So if I hit Command Z now or Control Z on a PC, it didn't work. Sometimes you just got to kind of click out of everything and then it will do it fine. All right, so I've got this word discover. I'm going to make it a nice big text box for it to fit. I'm going to, instead of drawing out another text box and writing the words New Zealand, I'm actually just going to select it with my black arrow, go to Edit, Copy, and then Edit, Paste. I've got a second version of this. This one here, I'm going to change to all caps, New Zealand. Make sure there's enough room for it. There we go. Okay, we've put in some ugly text. You might have picked some beautiful character text. And we're going to look at something in the next video called Adobe Fonts. And it's going to expand your font horizons with lots of cool, amazing fonts that you get to use commercially. Let's finish this video, wrap it up, and jump into the next one. Hey everyone, this video, we're going to take our boring old fonts, sorry Arial, and transform it into these pretty fonts. Or at least I think they're pretty. All right, let's jump in.